Back to the movies, if you will. We're meeting Carrie Jones this morning, the new director of the Michigan Film Office. Welcome to our Gillespie Group storefront studio.
Well, great. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Nice to have. So you're from here in the state capital area.
Yes, I live in East Lansing.
And how did you get the gig?
Well, when these incentives passed in 2008, I thought it would be one of the greatest jobs to have, to be able to promote Michigan and be a part of something great happening in Michigan from the ground up. So the opportunity presented itself, and I went for it.
Were you appointed by the governor then?
I was.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Janet Lockwood retired after something like 19 years in the office.
Yes, the longest-serving film commissioner in Michigan, for sure, but one of the longest-serving in the country as well. So she's incredibly knowledgeable and has just had tons of great experiences over the years.
What a time, though, for you to get this gig with everything that's going on in Michigan, with all this, the movie stars running around and the incentive package. What's your background in film or film promotion?
You know, I don't have a great background in film.
Yeah?
I do have a great love for the state of Michigan, which is really what has motivated me in doing this. I think that these incentives poise us, or put us in a position to really keep our young people here, to diversify our economy, create jobs, all of those great things. So, it's an incredibly humbling thing to be a part of. And so I don't have the background in it, but as someone very kindly put, we didn't hire her to make a movie. We hired her to kind of carry us forward in terms of, making sure that these incentives stay in place, that we keep people working, keep our young people here, and then change the perception of Michigan nationwide, which has also been a great benefit.
Maybe you won't be starstruck then either, or will you be?
So far I haven't, but you mentioned Dwayne Gill,
Yeah.
And he's a great friend of mine. He's about as starstruck as I get. I think he's
Yeah.
one of the greatest human beings on earth.
Yeah.
So.
He's a big teddy bear, isn't he?
He's the greatest. He is the greatest.
Having said that, now I know we have the superstar Dwayne Gill, but we've also had Hugh Jackman and Amanda, our producer here. She met him in the elevator right down the street here at the Radisson in the morning. He was going from his workout. Is that what happened?
I did. I'd met him on Monday night. I had gone down. They were filming in Mason.
The
I
courthouse.
was there for that. It was great.
And I went down there to try to get an interview and got an autograph, and I couldn't get an interview. So I said, well, there's got to be one place that he might be staying. So I told Michael, let me just go down there. And it wasn't stalking. I was actively pursuing the interview.
Very good.
And so we went down to one of the hotels in the area, and he was there.
Yeah,
That's great.
He was making his way from the work. You see, she downplays the story.
She
She was making her way.
She was hiding behind a bush.
I was sitting in the lobby, and he was coming out of the gym, and I was sending a text to Michael, actually, to let him know that I was there, and I looked up, and I saw him getting in the elevator, and the door started to kind of close. So I just kind of yelled his name as loud as I could, and his hand kind of went through the door and stopped, and the elevator doors popped open, and there was a very attractive man standing in front of me with.
Did you say Mr. Jackman when you called his name?
I did.
Okay.
I said Mr. Jackman, and he kind of put his arm through the door, and then he had his hand on the button. He was holding the door open, and he was like, "Yeah, just go ahead and email the publicist, and we'll see what we can do."
You see, I'm an author and a writer, and so to me that story comes out a little differently. This glistening man comes out of the gym, and the young producer suddenly loses her breath, but gathers it just in time to say, "Mr. Jackman." And Jackman, of course, given to help any damsel in distress, nice enough to use his name, Mr. Jackman, in such a formal fashion, sticks his hand out to stop the elevator door in a nick of time, risking his Rolex watch and his manicured fingernails.
I think you're right. I think that's how it went down.
And the door opens.
It did seem very slow motion.
I know, it seems like very like Wolverine.
It did.
Yes,
It seemed
yes.
It seemed very,
And his piercing eyes
Right.
they were blue
froze
all
her.
the way.
And he does have
And he said, "How can I help you, darling?" Isn't that what happened?
And he's one of those men that looked really good coming out of it, not kind of like, oh, you've been working out, he looked.
Yeah,
still
there's
like
two different
he
kinds
had
of
been-
there's two different kinds of guys working out. There's me looks like an old sock all crumpled up, falling out of it, barely can walk, right? And then there's the kind that just look like,
It looks
Hugh
like he
Jackman.
had still done
God's
his
creature.
hair and,
Well, let's talk about now. We have Miley Cyrus and Demi Moore and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah,
running
I mean,
around Michigan making
we've
movies.
got Sean Penn, we've got David
yeah.
Arquette, Courtney Cox. I mean, we've just had
That's right.
so many people in Michigan. Patrick Dempsey.
I heard us. Oh,
Yeah.
and you know
So-
where they are at all times.
I wish I did. I was trying to get some sort of GPS tracker into my BlackBerry.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It has not worked out.
You know, the stories, though, they surface organically, where you hear, I heard a story out of River Rouge, Michigan, of all places, that Richard Gere went into a bar at noon and needed like 20 cheeseburgers for the crew he wanted to take back. It's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
who would expect to see Richard Gere in a little factory town like River Rouge in a bar buying cheeseburgers?
Right. Well, and then there's all kinds of great stories that have kind of surfaced. Gerard Butler and Demi Moore karaokeing in Garden City.
Really?
I mean, there's just and and they're people just like we are certainly. So they're do things that we do. But what I think is so great is how supportive they've been of Michigan.
Bet you a lot of them have never been here.
I would venture to say probably not, but a lot of them want to come back. They love it.
They're going to go back talking about River Rouge and Garden City.
I know.
Holy cow.
Well, and
Well, Jane Seymour was in Grand Rapids a couple weeks ago making a picture,
Yeah.
and she went up to Grand Hotel and took some of the cast and crew and took her daughter up there because she made Somewhere in Time with
right,
Christopher
30
Reeve.
years ago this year.
Those people are going to go back to wherever they work, wherever they come from. Maybe some of them live here, and talk nicely about Michigan.
Right.
Couldn't hurt, could it?
Right. Well, it's great. We've got the movie 30 Minutes or Less was also shooting in Grand Rapids, which is it was produced by Ben Stiller,
Oh.
and Jesse Eisenberg, who's in the movie Social Network that comes out this week.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot of buzz. But there was a headline that said Jesse Eisenberg said, "I'm homesick for Grand Rapids," which I think is just it's
No
such
kidding.
a great thing. So it's everybody across the board has had such positive experiences here. They can't believe how nice people are, and how many beautiful locations we have. So.
Now, there are some people saying that we can't afford this film tax credit, and there are people who say, well, if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it, and,
Right. There's 40 states that have incentive programs right now.
are there really?
And it's the type of thing that if you're not first, you're last. And, I applaud Governor Granholm's vision because she, really saw that this would be a way that we could diversify our economy and keep our young people here. So she went after it. So we have the most aggressive film incentive in the country. And we also have probably more feature films happening in Michigan right now than any other place in the country. And it's just been incredibly successful. So, and the program's still in its infancy. It's only 2.5 years old, 2.5 years old on October 8th. So, we still we've seen so much growth from 2009 to 2010, and we're anticipating even a bigger bump into 2011.
So give it time.
Give it time.
I think that if you were in a movie, I said to Dwayne Gill that Michael Imperioli would play Mayor Bernero, because I think they kind of, don't they look alike?
I can kind of see it.
Yeah, they look at Christopher from Sopranos. He looks like Mayor Bernero. And I was just thinking that Gina Davis would play you if you were in a movie.
Oh, God bless you.
Has
That's the
anyone
nice-
ever told you that before? You
No,
kind of
but
look like her.
That's the nicest thing I think anyone's ever said to me.
Oh,
I totally love it.
I can do better than that. But I think everybody looks like someone. And so I bet you a lot of times in Michigan, too, you're in the grocery store now and you say, holy cow, is that Jack Nicholson or not?
Right.
Because the magic is here, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much magic. I mean, and it's, what I just think it's part of, I think the best part is the jobs and all of those things. But I also think that there's something that can't be underestimated about just the kind of the buzz factor and, changing Michigan has gotten so beat up over the last several years nationally in the national media, and changing that perspective. So you've got Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher going to Tigers game.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah. Ashton Kutcher has the second most Tweeple or Twitter followers or whatever
Yeah,
they're called.
yeah, giant.
Yeah, and he's saying, hey, Michigan's a cool place. Detroit's cool at a Tigers game. David Arquette's tweeting about sunsets, and the folks that did the movie Conviction, which is opening October 18th, we're in the Toronto Film Festival, talking about how great it is to shoot in Michigan, the beautiful locations, how that they were interested because of the incentive, but they couldn't believe the locations and the people when they got here. So,
What's your favorite movie?
people ask this, and there's never really a good answer when you're
3,
the
2?
film commissioner.
Oh, it doesn't have to be one. It doesn't have to be one made here.
So, because my answer now is always anything made in Michigan. But
Oh, okay.
but there's been so many great movies, and I always, when somebody asks me this question, I always come up with something that's kind of silly. But there's movies that you watch, like when I was a kid, and everybody makes fun of me for this, but I watched Grease 2 every
Grease
single
2?
day. Right. See? You can't even do it with a straight face. So that's, so
Okay.
that's fun. But then there's great movies like, that you watch one time and it just, changes how you think about things, like the movie Crash, like, just, kind of made me think differently about things. Or, Forrest Gump, that just stays with you because you've got those great quotes and everybody says, life is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things.
Or Greed is Good. Did you see the Wall Street sequel yet?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
I'm so disappointed they didn't give Aaron Burnett a cameo.
Oh.
I was waiting through the whole 2 hours and 6 minutes. They had all kinds of CNBC people. Why not Aaron Burnett?
I do not know.
Let's stay in close touch. This is fun.
Oh, this is fun.
And
I
congratulations on your new gig. Carrie Jones, the director of the Michigan Film Office. Long may you reign.
Oh, well, thank you. I hope so, too.
And hooray for Hollywood at 35 after the...